Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Ironis Insights. I have another great guest here, Sheng Yi, who's the founder of Gaia Digits. Thanks so much for joining us today. How you doing?
Yeah, it's good, Alex. It's good to have me in this session.
Thanks so much for joining us. I really appreciate it. Where are you calling from today?
Yeah, I'm calling from Windsor, Ontario, Canada. Yeah,
Amazing.
it's very close to Detroit.
Got it. Yeah, so not too far there. Well, I really appreciate you hopping on. I want to get into a little bit of your background first before we dive into, what Gaia Digits is doing. So why don't you just give us a little bit of, how you got to where you are now?
Okay, so I would like to say I'm the immigrant. So I immigrated to a few countries. So firstly, I work in Beijing, China.
Mhm.
Yeah, I work in the telecommunication business sector, mobile telecommunication. And then I changed my role to the B2B SaaS business, and
Mhm.
I worked in a Swedish company from 2009 and developed the market quite well. Then I moved to Stockholm since 2016. And in 2019, I decided to start my own business. So I migrated from Stockholm to Canada, and I set up the Gaia Digits at the end of 2019. Yeah, that's my background.
Awesome. So you've been working with Gaia Digits for about 7 years now?
Yeah, 6 years. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, start from the 7 years. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, yeah.
Amazing. I mean, congratulations on your success so far.
Thank you.
So why don't you tell us, so what exactly, you mentioned you got into the SaaS space. So what exactly got you to start Gaia Digits?
Yeah. So when I start business, I just want to make it a very simple and easy business. So
Yeah.
for example, I want to resell the workforce solution from the other companies because I focus on workforce, business for many, many years. So I think, okay, probably it's a good start to resell the other company solutions. But once I started business, the COVID case happened. So it disturbed my plan.
I mean,
Uh,
as soon as you started your business, literally COVID happened.
Yes, COVID happened. So I tried to visit my customers. They said, "Oh, no, no, no. Uh, it's very difficult to schedule the meeting in person for the big organizations." So I think about what do they want. Then I talked with a few people. The person told me, "Okay, we need something like the COVID screening." So we developed a very simple and easy application. It was reported by Canadian TV stations like the CTV, a few times. Then I start to have I didn't sell the, workforce solution. So I start to have the customers in COVID screening. Then I have more and more customers. Then I ask them, what do you want? Because I know COVID finally will disappear, right? So the person said, okay, probably in the future, no one will work in the traditional work mode. That means you have 100 employees. Every day have 100 people come to the office. That will never happen. So only 50% or even maximum 60% will come to the office. And the other people will travel or work, remotely. So we change our solution from the COVID screening to hybrid work mode solution to support the people to book the rooms, book the desks, to manage the visitors. So yeah, that's the story.
So how are companies when you speak to them, how are they because basically everyone is hybrid now, right? Unless you have a
Yes.
job that's, building a house or, a real estate agent who has to physically be in a house. How are companies currently managing these hybrid office scheduling before they find you?
Oh, before that, some people used their, just to use something like the Excel, very easy to manage, easy to manage the people, but it's very difficult to send out the information because you need to put the Excel in Outlook or even in the SharePoint or in the Google Space, right? And then some people think about to just put their floor plan and make it more interactive with the users. So we make this step. We don't use the Excel, but we put the floor plan and make very interactive with the users.
Okay, got it.
Hmm.
Interesting. So, I mean, what do you think their biggest headache is that clients deal with when because they're hybrid, like in the hybrid work environments?
Yeah. I think the hybrid means more difficult for collaborations. So for example, so if
Yeah.
you have if you have the team, right? Normally, some people work at home, some people work in the office. And if you go for the hybrid, the better you can group the people who come to the office. So the better, once you schedule the person in the office, you need to click one, two, three, and group the people nearby, right? The first. Another one, once you set up the meetings, you need to schedule something like the hybrid. You set up the meeting, half will join in person in the office. Some people will join online, whatever, with Zoom or with Teams or with the other meeting tools. Then if you send out the meeting invite, you don't want to send out something like in the Outlook, then you create the, different links, right? So in our system, we fully integrated with the meeting tools. You can just click the link and the person get an invitation, both with the address in person and then the link, whatever in the Teams, in Google or in Zoom. Yeah,
So it
so
shows
this
it
is
shows
another.
who's attending in person and on Zoom or Google Meet or whatever you're using.
Yes, and more than that. So once the person, if you think about it in the big picture, for example, the HR manager or the facility manager, you probably want to know, what's their office utilization, because you don't want to pay a big office, but the people, just, they don't come, right? So we can have provided statistics. So how many meetings happens in their office and how many canceled, and then you can calculate the meeting space utilization. Also, you have the person book the desks, workstations, and how many, people come to the office and how long do they stay in the office. Based on the person stayed in the office and the time they spend in the office, we can get exactly data, the workstations utilization as well. So based on this, utilization rates, you can understand how big area you really need in the next year. So for example, we have some basic statistics. If your meeting room utilization rate is below 60, that means it's okay. If it's over 75, that means it's very busy, hectic. For the workstation, it's the same. So if the workstation is just 30%, 40%, that means you waste a lot, right? But if it's over 75 or even 80%, that means it's very good. Yeah. If close to 90, that means you probably need a big area. Yeah.
Interesting. So those numbers, they're the same for workstations as conference rooms?
Yes.
Yeah, so
Yep.
not over 90% is you need more real estate. 75% is like you're getting a good use of the space.
Yes.
60% is okay. And then what number would you say is like you need to downsize or make
Yes.
adjustments?
Yeah, so if you have the utilization rate is below 50, definitely you need to cut
Less than
20%.
half the time, yeah.
Yeah. So I have a customer, they're in Germany. I cannot say the name. They have three floors.
Mhm.
They definitely understand that, they don't utilize the office space quite well. So they go with us with the solution, and then they just, they return one floor to the landlords to support their, 2 to 300 people to work in just the second floor, ground floor quite well. Yeah, and the people are happy and their managers are happy because it saved quite a lot.
Yeah, this is really interesting. So back to the workstations, you have each person sign in and sign out when they use the space, and
Yes.
with and then they just have to register for a conference room if they need it, right? For like a
Yeah.
time slot of an hour, and then they have to leave. Yeah, and that's how you
Yeah.
track it. Got it. Um, this is really interesting. I mean, being in New York City and a background in commercial real estate, people are always looking to find out like do we need to grow now? Should we plan on growing in the next 5 years? Should we start
Yeah.
looking now? Because do we need to downsize? Do we need to sublease? Do we need, should we use something like a co-working space maybe instead of having a full-time office? And you
Yeah,
can
you get the
basically,
right point. So once before we have a WeWork, right, many years ago, but
yeah,
still
yeah,
you can
before
have the
they went,
Vegas
yeah,
or something like that.
yeah,
Depends. So for example, if you have the big operations globally in the headquarter or in the big satellite office, you probably need to have your own real estate. You
yeah,
set up your own office. But if you just have, 10 people or less than 10 people, right? Normally, you don't need, the real office owned by yourself. You probably can just rent the space from the Rigas, from that office, right? So you can save huge in the cost.
wow. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
this is definitely very interesting. So,
Mm.
how are you finding your clients right now? Are you working with a specific area? I mean, you mentioned you had a client in Germany, so
Yeah.
and you're based in Canada. I'm just curious, what your focus is. Any specific industry or geographic area, or
Depends. So, for example, if you talk about for the customers, you have different kinds of customers, but they have their basic key points. First, they have a lot of employees. Another one, they should have a lot of facilities for bookings. And if they don't have a solution, it will have the booking chaos. So we targeted, something like the education market, healthcare market, because they have a lot of facilities. For the enterprise, we focus on the companies have the big headquarter office or satellite office. They
mm,
need some solution to save the cost. Today, if you look at the cost in Canada and in the States, probably the cost is the real estate itself, right? But if you look at the cost in European Union, it's not the real estate because you rent the office. The most cost is coming from the energy today. So if they rent less space, definitely they save their rent, but they save most is the energy.
their
That's
electricity
very
bill?
interesting. Yeah,
I was just
that's
going to ask, where do companies usually waste most of their money in the office space?
I cannot say the exactly the number. So I just say the company returned one floor and they saved more than 10,000 euros per year.
Yeah,
That's a huge number combined, both in terms of rent, office rent, and in terms of the energy cost combined. That's a big money. Yeah.
very interesting. Um, got it. Have you seen any pushback from any of the companies that you have implemented these tools as far as like logging into the workspace, or is it been overall well received in an effort to just, make everything more efficient?
Oh yeah. Something is happening is the trade-off. So for example, if you want to have very strong features, probably you need to have a independent application on the mobile.
Mhm.
But at the same time, most employees don't like the independent application anymore because they don't want to install so many applications, in the mobile. So you need to find that balance. So the best way is that if the person uses the Teams, right, today, they use the Teams in the database. So better to have the integrated application in the Teams, whatever in the mobile or in your PC. So they don't leave that daily, the working tools. And also it's integrated with Outlook. If you just book, you just click the calendar, something pop up and you choose the facilities, it's done. Yeah. If you talk about the pushbacks, I would like to say yes, the pushback is mainly for their working culture. If you look at Canada's, governments, because they push all the people back to the office, then some organizations don't want to implement their, hybrid, working tools anymore because anyway, 100% they go back to the office. They don't need to anymore. Yeah, that's another kind of pushback.
Yeah, no, interesting. Interesting. What do you think the biggest challenges for you trying to scale your company right now? in the SaaS space with everything that's going on with AI, and there's a lot of noise out there, and it can get kind of messy. A lot of people don't really know what it is. I'm just kind of curious, what what you're working with there.
Okay, that's the right point. So if you talk about the challenge, for the SaaS business, the real challenge is attention.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So for example, if you want to have the big markets, you need to have have the more audience, right?
Hmm.
Because the sales is always based on something like you have the audience, then you have the attention, you have the click, you have the leads, and then they have the demand, they are the sales, opportunity, you close it, something like that, along the loop, right? But then it's very interesting. So we need to compete in the world. You can find 30 to 40, vendors that provide similar solutions. Then the competition is very hectic. You can see the big giants in the States. They probably, I don't want to know the names. They have
Yeah.
several hundred employees, right? And you can also find very interesting players from the other countries, like even from the New Zealand. They just have 5, 10 people, right? They just focus very niche area, and they just focus on a few, the industry segment. They focus to, send that message to the key personas in the same way or in different ways. They can also survive. So we are in the middle, right? So we definitely want to grow, but we know that we are not invested by the venture capital. We are invested by ourselves, by the founders. So we need to learn from the European Union players, focus on a few areas and focus on a few industry sectors. So for example, if I look at the Google search, I only pay the search in the Canada and some states in the US and a few countries in the European Union.
Hmm.
Then, we just focus and focus. Yeah.
Got it. Is there a specific size company that you focus on right now?
Yeah.
SMBs, enterprise, or yeah.
Yeah. Normally, we focus on the people have focus on the companies have the over 100 employees, office employees, but less than 3,000. Because if it's over 3,000, like the Google, right? They always search the vendors, in California, not in Canada, or not in,
Right.
because they have the, neighbors, right? Really strong. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Around 100 plus is
Yes.
really where you can start to see that difference in that change in the use of the office space. Yeah, yeah. So
Yes.
if you had a magic wand and you could fix one thing, what would you change? What would you try to fix right now in the business?
I see a very niche market. I see that market, many years back, but I didn't make it when I worked in Sweden as the big regional sales. Because we focus on the workforce management in call center. I realized there's a big market behind it. You schedule the people, right? So, for example, that if you talk about the Capital One, they probably have several thousand agents. So you schedule the people, right? Then you face another, challenge. Where should these guys sit? Of course, you can just allocate a big area, say, hey, this team, responsible for outbound. You just allocate a big area. This is outbound. You schedule people for outbound costs. They sit in outbound area, but it's not cost efficient because I see this challenge in a few countries. They have a big call center, 4 floors. Every floor have 300 to 500 seats.
Wow.
But every day they only have they have the 2,000 seats in capacity, but they only have the 1,200 people in the daily operations. If you open 4 floor, so it's very costly, and also not just costly for the same office space, but also cost for the energy in Asia. If you talk about a big cost in the summertime is air conditioning, electricity. That's huge cost. If you can just make smart scheduling for the seats, that save a lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I mean, people don't realize how much it actually takes to cool a building.
yes,
And people have always asked me, like, well, what about heat in the winter? I'm like, well, actually, you have a computer and a human body that's already warming up that space. So actually, it costs more to still cool the building.
yes,
It's really interesting that you mentioned that's one of the main costs. Obviously, real estate, office space, the rent, that's going to be a factor as well. But it's actually just cooling the physical space
yes.
is one of their main wasted costs. Yeah, so that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Um,
So I'm seeing that the market, that's a market demand is what we talked about is the seats planning, but not seats planning for the office employees, but for the something like the agents for they are working very flexible. So you need a very flexible solution to make the people to group together and seats. Yeah, you need to consider a lot of factors based on working hours, based on the teams, based on the leadership, something like that. So we plan to develop this feature, in the next release. That's something jumped into my mind. Yeah,
nice. No, I mean
yeah,
that sounds exciting. I mean, this is great. So I mean, you go into an office, you start tracking the usage of the conference rooms, all of the workstations, and then you basically let them know exactly where they're wasting their space, where they're wasting their time, and how you can make it more efficient, and whether that's energy costs or office space. And I think this is really needed right now, especially in a time where the workplaces going to be hybrid forever now, right? I mean, there's going to be
yeah,
some in office, there's going to be some hybrid, but I think it's also great how you make these hybrid meetings more cohesive and more being able to track who's there in person, who's there also online.
yes,
That is one of the number one problems with the hybrid work, like you said, is the lack of camaraderie and the ability to feel like you're a part of a team. So I think having those meetings that everyone's accountable for and shows up for
yes.
is really helpful, man. Yeah. Listen, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time today. I wanted to see where can our audience find you and Gaia Digits.
You can find, in the website, GaiaDigits.com, the first. Also, you can find, the guidance in the LinkedIn and my profile in the LinkedIn. I have thousands, connections. Welcome, have more connections so we can help each other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, perfect.
Mm.
That's why we're here. Awesome.
Yeah.
I'll put those links below the video here for you guys. And thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day.
You too.
Thanks.
Thanks. Have a great day.